All right. Hello, guys. Welcome to this webinar, this early after or mid-afternoon 2 to 3 webinar. So we are waiting for Liam. Liam is one of my colleagues. Maybe you have met him. So he is joining me in just a few minutes. He's just logging in now. But in the meantime, guys, if you could also, if you're watching this, let us know who you are, let us know your name, let us know where you come from. And we have a question for you. What do you usually eat for breakfast? So what are some common foods that you eat?
Hello.
So in the comments. Hi, Liam.
Hi, Thiago. That venting of frustration in text messages was not directed at you.
No worries. I didn't even see it.
Just to clear, no, just general. Yeah, anyway, I'm here. All good. Sorry, I was typing in the right password, but it wouldn't let me join. I hope no one else is having that problem.
I see. Well, mine are all saved, I guess. So unless we do get kicked out every time it's changed, it might not even
I don't
affect me.
know. Yeah, so
Um,
I just caught the introduction there. You're asking people what they eat for breakfast, right?
exactly. Yes, we still don't have
Ah,
anyone watching us yet, but we might have a few people in a bit.
absolutely. And
Um,
people can always leave comments on YouTube as well.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, Liam, how have you been? It's been a while since we've had a webinar. Haven't seen you
It
in a
has.
long
It's
time.
it's good to see you again, albeit in two dimensions. But no, I'm fine. I think the lockdown continues, but I think we can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, as we say. I think there is some hope that things are moving in the right direction. Obviously, there's a lot of people are still dying, and it's very sad, of course, but we're seeing fewer people in hospital, fewer people getting infected. So I'm crossing my fingers that maybe this will be our last month of at least this full strict lockdown.
Yes, I do hope so. Any kind of, restrictions that can be taken away, anything really, even if it's just allowing, certain people to go to the park. There can be a lottery, I don't know, just once a
Eh,
week, whatever it is. I need to be outside. It has been really hard. I think I told you in the last webinar, I don't have a balcony, I don't have a terrace, nothing.
You did, yeah. You're
So
really stuck.
that has been the most difficult part for me personally. So
Absolutely.
yeah, anything of like that would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really, I sympathize because I'm lucky. I do have, or my girlfriend and I, we do have a small balcony, but it feels sometimes like almost like it's tantalizingly close. Like you can see the outside world, you can smell it, you can almost touch it, but you can't quite get out there to enjoy it.
Yes. See, and I have allergies, so I'm having the effect of the allergies without enjoying the outside. So that's really not fair.
So is that I'm guessing that you're suffering from hay fever.
Exactly. Suffering from, and then, when I go to the supermarket, people will notice that, maybe my nose will be kind of runny. So I
Oh
have some
yeah, of
cold
course.
symptoms. People are like, really paranoid getting close to me, which I guess works, for my benefit. But yes,
Oh,
it
I
has
don't. Oh
not
God,
been
I
a
did.
fun time.
I had not considered that. In fact, actually, sorry. While I write that, I don't know why. I think that was just me typing too fast. Hay fever is just one word. Um, I had not considered that because I get quite mild hay fever as well. And yes, you're right. If I start sneezing and coughing and my eyes are red, as you say, people are going to run a mile from me.
Yeah, yeah. In
Oh, I
fact,
had.
yesterday I had to go to the store, and as I was in line, my nose was running quite a bit, which is also really difficult because we have to wear the masks now, and I'm not gonna touch my face. And so, what do you do with your nose? Oh, it was a nightmare yesterday. I was just standing in line, just try to like keep it all inside until I got home. It was terrible.
I haven't been to the supermarket since the new restrictions were introduced. So I don't have a face mask.
You don't have one at all.
No, but the supermarket gave me one when I entered.
Oh, really? So they're giving them out at the entrance.
Well, yeah, because I think they know that so many people have bought them already.
I
That
see.
there are not enough of them available, for example, in pharmacies.
Yeah, well, I heard Angela, our colleague Angela, tried buying and she got 2 masks at the pharmacy and she paid €7 for them.
For a piece of material.
For, yeah, like a simple mask. We're not even talking the ones with a filter or anything. So,
No. Which, by the way,
yeah,
we shouldn't be using anyway, because those are priority for medical personnel.
exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
in
but I
fact,
also see a lot of people getting like a sense of security from the masks, but then touching their face so much, especially because of the masks. I don't know, I see people in line who might want to smoke a cigarette, and so they're just, putting them down, back on, scratching their faces because maybe it gets itchy.
that is one of the fears. In fact, the London School of Tropical Medicine, which is one of the world's best research universities in the UK, said that in some situations, a mask can actually make things worse for you. Because, for example, you take the mask off and you put it down on a table. Is that table clean?
Right.
For example, you take it off to drink a cup of coffee. Is that cup of coffee clean, etc.? And in fact, just as I was seeing about this new rule, the World Health Organization today have said again that masks do not protect healthy people.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I think, but as you say, because I think you're absolutely right, it's more to do with, I think, the sense of security that it gives people, regardless of the efficacy of them.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that
That's my
has
rant.
been,
That's my rant over.
Oh no, I get it. I've been ranting on every single video now. I can see like the positivity going, down and further down as we go on.
But we're going to be positive today because we're talking about food, and
Absolutely.
that makes people positive, doesn't it?
Yes. And so while we're waiting for someone to, start on the webinar here, Liam, I wanted to ask you. So what do you usually eat for breakfast? Maybe before the quarantine, and if your habits have changed during the quarantine.
No, I mean, I would say my breakfast routine, my breakfast habits have pretty much stayed the same. I tend to go for, a savory breakfast. Whereas I know that Italians prefer a sweet breakfast. Not only Italians, of course, many countries like Spain, for example. But yes, I definitely prefer a savory breakfast. So I will usually have bread in some form, whether that's bread or toast. And I'll have, sometimes I like toast with peanut butter, with jam. I really like Marmite. There's a memorable photograph of you holding a jar of Vegemite in our school. And Marmite is the same. It's the same product. And I love Marmite. And in fact, my parents just sent me a care package from the UK that included
I saw that picture that you had.
Yeah, so I was very, very pleased. But I'll also eat some things that I know to Italians can be very strange for breakfast. So sometimes, for example, I quite like spicy food for breakfast. For example, I love Mexican breakfast. Things like huevos rancheros, or things like that, like eggs and potatoes, eggs in a tortilla with chili peppers and coriander. a lot of things that I think, would be anathema to, I would say, the majority of our students.
Sure, yeah.
So, but most days, like I'd say most days, it's toast and bread in some form and some eggs, I would say. What about you, Thiago? What do you go for?
I do tend to eat a lot of bread as well in the morning. I mean, if I have, for example, even like avocados, that's something I really like to do. Just like mash some
Yeah,
avocados and put that on top. I do like peanut butter quite a lot.
yeah, me too.
I don't mind the sweet breakfast, but I am not a big fan of croissants with chocolate or jam like that.
Okay.
I just find it's funny because I know, at least living here in Italy, a lot of Italians perceive, a British breakfast and American breakfast as being quite heavy, which it is. It is quite heavy, it can be very fattening, etc. But
Sure.
it's heavier for me to have all the greasy bread, and with the chocolate. That actually doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't. Yeah. Um,
So yeah, I understand, but I'm also not a big fan, but for almost actually the opposite reason, strangely enough, which is that my problem with the classic cappuccino and croissant is that I'm hungry again 1 hour later.
sure, yeah.
It's not enough for
Right,
me.
because it's more of like a taste thing, right? Than I mean, it's really. I mean, what is there in terms of nutrients, or
Very little.
really
If
isn't
you
much?
think
Yeah.
if you think nutritionally, I would honestly say I can't think of a worse way to start the day than an
Yeah.
injection than an injection of caffeine and sugar,
It's sugar, right? Right. No,
because you're just going
exactly.
to go whoop and then boom
And
again, probably
crafting.
1 hour later.
Exactly. But I do like, sweet things. Like I do appreciate yogurt. I
Yeah.
like cereal, even more like sweeter types of cereal quite a bit, like granola. So I can enjoy like a sweet breakfast. But I agree with you. I do prefer a more savory one.
I think for me, the sweet breakfast, and one of the things I'm looking forward to doing again is this. It's something I like to do at the weekend, say on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. I like to go to a bar and have a croissant and a cappuccino. And it's like, because I don't do it a lot, so I enjoy it a little bit more because it feels like this little Italian experience that I still enjoy, which
Yeah.
still feels like a novelty to me because I don't do it even in my house here in Milan.
Right, right. And there's so many, what the Italians would call a bar, right? I guess we'd say a cafe more than a bar.
Yeah.
Lots of cafes everywhere. Walking down the street, and so you can always like try different places. And it's really cultural. Yeah, to not have breakfast at home, but rather on as you go to work. It's a very quick thing. I feel like, at least here in Italy, quick cup of coffee, a brioche as you're drinking your coffee. Though
Which
maybe
I
in
do
smaller
like.
towns, not so much.
I do like that. I have to say, I like that in Italy you don't see the disposable coffee cup.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that
true.
Italy has resisted the Starbucksification of their coffee culture, which I'm very happy to see. That the indigenous coffee culture has stayed strong.
Yeah,
But it's funny, you just said that I'm calling it a bar. That's how long I've been here. Of course, it's not a bar to us. It is a cafe. That's I've
yeah.
been here for too long. I'm saying bar like it's because to us in English, a bar is a place that serves usually alcoholic drinks. What you guys, our students, would call a bar, Tiago and I would call a cafe.
Yeah.
A cafe is a place you go for tea or coffee. Um, and what about also one other thing, just to add, just to kind of weird out our students even more? I actually quite enjoy fish sometimes in the morning,
Really, fish.
especially. Yeah,
Huh.
well, I mean, and I know that again that might seem strange to you as well, Tiago, but I think people sometimes kind of overlook the fact that Britain is in the North Atlantic and we are an island. And having fish, especially smoked fish, is more common than people think. Things like herring, mackerel, smoked salmon, things like that. Sardines. I quite like sardines on toast in the morning. Again, you know, I remember telling my girlfriend's mother that I enjoy fish in the morning, and she looked at me. She looked at me like I was telling her that that the sun revolves around the earth. Just a
Wow.
complete lack. Because yeah, the British breakfast, the kind of the eggs, the bacon, the sausage, the beans, the mushrooms. I know that's the stereotype, but honestly, when I lived in Britain, I would have that maybe once a month. I would say.
I see. Yeah. I know in Peru and Ecuador from traveling there that fish in the morning is something you would have as a cure for a hangover. So after a night of drinking, ceviche is
Uh,
what you usually go for.
I can testify, in fact, to its efficacy. It works.
But you wouldn't think, right?
And
Because it has such a strong flavor that if you're feeling nauseous, I would never think of fish as
it can be done, and I have to also I know as well because I've seen in a lot of food documentaries that in Peru, um, the liquid that's used in the curing process of the fish, all of that kind of citrusy, spicy liquid in Peru will sometimes be served to you in a little shot glass,
ha.
and that's also in aid of your hangover.
Oh gosh.
Which it works, man. I'm telling you, if after a night of excess, because if you think about it, it's like a culinary slap in the face.
It really is, yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's like a smoked fish or pickled fish. These things, these kind of acidic, bright flavors. Not even if you're not feeling good, just in general. For me, what I like is it's like going wow, and I'm awake. Whereas, as you said, sometimes a lot of bread and Nutella or brioche makes me feel a bit lethargic.
Hmm.
But it's just a different strokes for different folks, as we say.
Definitely. Cool. All right, guys. Yeah, I see that we now have three people watching
Yeah,
us.
welcome,
So
guys.
welcome.
Absolutely.
If you have a Google account and you can comment on the videos, let us know your name, let us know where you come from, and let us know what you usually have for breakfast. So Liam and I just talked about some of our preferences, but also in general in our countries and around the world, what might be common. So what do you eat for breakfast usually? And we'll get started here with our focus. So today we, of course, will be talking about breakfast. We'll be talking about breakfast vocabulary. And we're going to be talking about this idea here, the brunch, which I know in big cities, in Italy at least, it has become quite popular recently. So
Hmm.
let's talk about this. Liam, could you actually read these questions for us, please?
Of course I can. So, guys, questions here. What is brunch? What do you usually eat for breakfast? What time do you usually eat breakfast? And do you like American or British breakfast food? Okay. So, what is brunch? I think the first thing to do is explain what it is. Um, in language, brunch is what we call a portmanteau. That's a French word, but we use it in English. And a portmanteau is when two words are combined together to create a new word. So, for example, in this case, it's breakfast and lunch. So, brunch. So, what you can probably understand from that is this is food that is kind of part breakfast and part lunch. So you maybe eat it around, I mean, it depends, right, Thiago? 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock,
Exactly.
brunch,
Yeah.
it kind of late morning, early afternoon, I would say.
Yeah. Exactly. And as you guys can see here, it's common to refer to it as Sunday brunch because Sunday, tends to be the day in which you sleep until later. Maybe you don't want to, put a lot of effort. You don't want to work so hard in preparing two different meals. In fact, it's quite common for brunch, I think, to go out, to go somewhere else for brunch, not necessarily having it at home, though that's also possible, of course. And then, yeah, it's combining two meals, and so making it one big one a little bit later.
Yeah, you want it. I think you're absolutely right about going out. Is you want another person to do the work for you.
Yeah,
Because I don't know, like if you're going to cook a lot of things for breakfast or brunch, it's a lot of it's timing and coordination can be quite difficult, I think.
exactly. Yeah, and then by the time you're done with something, it's getting colder as you're warming something up. I find it
Oh
really
God,
difficult.
don't! I have
I've
so many
I've tried
flashbacks.
doing brunch with friends, and it's just you can't get everything right. Yeah, because there's just
No,
way too much that you have to do. It requires a really big kitchen. I think a lot of preparation. What you're gonna do first, and on a Sunday morning, you're sleepy. There's way too much that you have to deal with to properly
yeah.
make a brunch at home.
I mean, it's just yeah, and if you don't do it all, you have to do so much preparation. So people cook their eggs the day before and then put them in the refrigerator,
Right.
and and there's a lot. You're using the oven, you're using a frying pan. It's yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I prefer either someone to cook for me in their house or to have in a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. So here in Italy, have you had brunch often or not really?
Not really, to be honest, because I think it's sometimes it's quite rare to find places that do it. And also, I have to say that because I think it's a novelty here, it's usually very expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Places are kind of trading on the label of the idea that this is this kind of cool British American thing that people will pay a lot of money for because, and important for me to remember that whereas you and I come from countries where it's normal, for a lot of people here, it's kind of an experience of having this type of thing. So, in the same way that probably Italians would be horrified at how much money we pay for pizza or pasta sometimes in our
Sure,
country,
sure.
I think we're surprised at how much. I've seen places doing it for like £20, 20 euros, excuse me,
Yeah, I think
for
that's the
brunch,
average, yeah, for brunch here.
which to me is a
Definitely.
bit like, whoa, that would be
Yeah.
brunch for like 2 or 3
Of
people where I'm
course,
from.
yes. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because also here, I feel like even in a big city like Milan, you could go out and you can have a decent meal, maybe not at a fancy restaurant, but you can have a pretty decent meal for
Oh
two
yeah,
people,
yeah.
including drinks, and pay, 30, 35. So if you're paying 40 just for the food, a lot of the times, it can be quite a lot.
Absolutely. No, I get it. So I think that puts me off a little bit.
Yeah.
That puts me off. Um, Although I feel like after the lockdown, I'll be so desperate to go out. I'll just be saying, hang the expense. I'll do anything now if it means I can go
Sure, yeah,
outside.
because I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't been spending much at all. I mean, I'm also working a lot less, but
But we're not paying for anything.
not paying anything, just rent and I mean, I'm spending a lot more at the supermarket for sure, but that's it.
Yeah, same. I'm exactly the same. Yeah,
Like our transportation card, there's so much that we're not paying for. So I
absolutely.
agree. Once this is over, and in fact, I think that's what's going to be the challenge for everybody because we've been inside for so long that once the restrictions, will be lifted, we do have to be careful. We can't crowd places so much.
No,
So it will be interesting to
no.
see how we'll be able to manage that.
Well, yeah, and also just as well in terms of how many people, when this is all over, Tiago, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to the cinema. I'm not going to, a football stadium. I'll still be. I think there'll be a lot of voluntary social distancing happening.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think restaurants and cafes. Look, I've worked as a waiter. I know it's hard, and restaurants and cafes don't make lots of money because it's expensive. So I feel bad for them. And I think we should support them if we can. But I imagine that what they will do is have a lot of, distance seating, So I
Yeah.
think we'll be allowed in the restaurant, but with those lines, those little like boxes on the ground that show, okay, you sit here, you stand here. And
Exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
that will be the way that it's going to be kind of easing back in. It's not like coiling back a spring and just releasing it. It's going to be, I think, a
We would
slow.
hope so. Also, because I mean, it's the perfect type of weather for people want to go out. But also, it's nice weather that people don't necessarily want to stay indoors so much. So, I think
Absolutely.
I think lots of activities will be done outside. It's where like food trucks, things like that, are come in really handy just to
Oh,
encourage more of
I
this
lo-
distancing.
that's why sometimes I wish I lived in Los Angeles, because I love a food truck,
Food
and I know that
trucks,
they're big. Yeah, they're I know they're much bigger in the US than they are in Britain at the moment, although they're getting bigger. I
yeah.
love a food truck.
One
Love a
thing
food
I've
truck.
really been missing is just a pint of beer at a pub, like at any bar. It's just, I've been drinking beer at home, but it's just like, I'm tired of doing this in my living room. I want someone to serve me, a big glass of cold beer. Like, I miss that so
Absolutely,
much.
absolutely. I completely agree. And just the social aspect of it.
Yeah,
And actually, do you know what? We kind of forgot to mention one of the biggest things about brunch is that it can and often will offer you an alcoholic drink. That's one of the novelties of brunch is you may be offered, for example, a mimosa, which is champagne and orange juice, for example. I know that's a very common drink to have with brunch. It's considered, as somebody, I think it was in the Big Bang Theory, the TV program, one of the characters said, if you drink at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're an alcoholic, but if you include it with brunch, you're sophisticated.
exactly. That's funny. I didn't see that one. Yeah, and at least in the states, then you also have the bottomless brunches, which can be pretty common as well. And
And
so
pretty
bottomless
dangerous.
means, you have unlimited access to alcohol. So the mimosas, they just keep coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
it can be quite
very
dangerous indeed. Yeah.
dangerous. Oh, time. The third question. What time do you eat breakfast? I mean, at the moment, it depends when I wake up, because our hours are all changing, because of work. But I think lots of people, for example, say that they don't. Lots of people I know don't really have much of an appetite in the morning. Um, I definitely do. Like, even
I
if it's
do
six
too.
o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, I have to eat something.
Yeah.
Are you the same, Thiago?
Absolutely. I love breakfast. Actually, sometimes I go to bed and I get excited about what I'm going to eat the next morning. You know, I really do.
No,
Like
that
yesterday,
I
I went to
so
the
understand.
supermarket and I found they had these vegan croissants at Lidl this week. And it's
At
great
Lidl,
because
really?
it's amazing. It's like 39 cents. So it's really cheap. And so I just buy a bunch of them and then I have to like resist the urge to eat them all. So last night I really wanted
Oh my
one, and then
god.
I like went to bed thinking how I was gonna wake up and I would have my coffee with my croissant. And here I was saying that I don't like croissants in the morning, but I did this morning. I was so happy with that.
That's exciting that Lidl are doing. Yeah, because I know what you mean, actually. The vegan ones that you can get yourself from the bakery.
Yeah, just like
Excellent.
those. Yeah.
And I can see that at the moment we only have one viewer, one student who's looking at us. But that final question, do you like American or British food? I mean, for you and I, it goes without saying. Of course we do.
Yeah, exactly. And then here we have some typical breakfast food that is typical of American and British breakfast or brunch. So, all right, maybe Liam, if you want to read the list here, we can focus on pronunciation and then we'll do this matching.
Absolutely. I'm just writing, just because for people who do watch this later, some of the phrases we're using, just putting up, it goes without saying, meaning it's clear or obvious. Okay, so vocab we've got here, guys. So again, focusing on pronunciation: bacon, fried egg, omelette, scrambled eggs, toast, pancakes, waffles, baked beans, and sausages. Because I know
Exactly.
from experience, I know that quite a few of those words can be quite difficult for Italians because of the phonetic pronunciation in Italian. So we'll say them again as we go through. So it's a good thing to focus on here, guys. If you're watching this later, about the pronunciation.
Exactly. And as you can see here, egg, the eggs are a really popular thing in American and British breakfast. So we have many different types that we have. And this can be confusing when you're traveling. I know if you go to a diner or any kind of cafe and you order eggs, they will ask you, how would you like your eggs? And you really need to know the vocabulary.
It's a whole other world of vocab.
It really is. So, for example, we have the first type of egg here that is kind of broken down into kind of like little pieces, and we scramble the eggs, and so they're called scrambled eggs.
It's one of my favorite words in Italian.
Strapazzate, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just love it's almost onomatopoeic to me. It just sounds like something you did. I love that word.
Yeah, exactly. So we got our scrambled eggs here. This is something, Liam, that you mentioned you quite like having in the morning, right? Oh, no, sorry.
I do.
Going down and not to the side.
I know, I was going to say, usually it goes to the side. These ones go down, don't they? Yeah, so these guys are, these are common in lots of countries, not just Britain and America. Mm-hmm. I think these are quite culturally universal. And in English, we call these pancakes. Okay, pancakes. The idea, because the pan is the instrument you use to cook them in. And we call it a cake because the composition of them, flour, eggs, sugar, is quite similar to if you make a cake.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like in Italy, certainly in France, like a crepe would be.
Yeah.
It's basically a pancake. It's a very thin type of pancake.
Yeah, like I sometimes think, because in this is one of the areas where Britain and America are different, Thiago, because in Britain, our traditional pancakes are more like the French ones, the crepe.
So they're thinner.
Yeah, when we have on Pancake Day, Pancake Tuesday, the pancakes that we made when I was a kid, for example, were more like the crepes, the very thin ones that you would then roll up into like a cigar and eat them like that. Whereas the pancakes, like in the picture here, we would kind of think of those, we would say like American pancakes.
Gotcha. And I know that in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, they have quite some thick pancakes as well that are quite common, right? Like really thick ones.
Yeah, I've never had one, but I've seen them. And yeah, they've got like a filling in them. It almost looks like jelly, the way sometimes it's like a combination of pancake and flan or something.
Interesting. Cool. And then down here we have, this is also pretty common. So this, of course, these are sausages.
Yeah, note the pronunciation, guys.
Yeah, sausages.
Yes, which are one of my absolute favorite things, I have to say. And just to say, guys, these are very different when we say sausages in English, we don't mean like salami, okay? It's quite different to that. These are not dried, okay? These are not like dried or cured. These are, fresh sausages that you then cook either in a pan or under the grill. You can grill them as well. Although every sane and rational person knows that you have to pan fry them.
Exactly. And then now here we can talk about D. Which one is this?
So this is toast. Exactly. Okay, which is actually one of the words that in English, Italians, I notice, have just kind of lifted straight from English. In fact, in Italian, toast is toast, right?
No, in Italy, I noticed that toast is more of like an actual kind of like sandwich. When they say, I'm going to eat a toast, it's more of like, toast with things in the middle. So it's like a sandwich type thing.
So like a toasted sandwich.
A toasted sandwich, exactly. First, toast is just the bread.
Yeah, that's interesting. Right. I hadn't considered it like that. Of course, you're right. Because like in Britain, we call that a toastie.
You would say toast. Oh, that's funny. That's what it is in Dutch as well. It's a toastie. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But in America, you would say like a toasted sandwich. Oh, because like Thiago, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But in America, when you guys say, can I have a grilled cheese? Mm-hmm. You mean a grilled cheese sandwich?
A grilled cheese sandwich, exactly.
Right.
Okay. Melted in, basically toast bread.
I love a grilled cheese.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love
Grilled cheese with
love a
tomato
grilled.
soup. That's what it goes with.
That exactly. What a great combination. Who
Yeah.
thought of that? It's like a tuna melt. I love tuna
Yeah.
melts as
Tuna
well.
melts. Yeah, exactly. And then here, guys, for E, we have another type of egg. This one, I think it's pretty universal. So this, of course, is an omelet.
Yeah, and then in F, we've got, again, one of those things that I think seem very strange to Italians. These are called baked beans. So these will be usually just kind of plain white beans, but they come in usually in a tin or a can, like a metal container, and they're in a tomato sauce, which, again, very strange for Italians, but uh, if, like in Britain and America, if lots of people work outside, work in agriculture, you need a lot of energy in the morning. And of course, beans contain a lot of protein. So they were a really good, cheap way to give yourself a kind of energy boost when you were starting work in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. It's very nutritious. I mean, beans, see, I'm not used to eating them in the morning. So it is in a certain way a bit strange for me as well. But yeah, I feel like I would like it. I just don't ever think of making it. But if you gave me some baked beans in the morning for breakfast, I would definitely enjoy that.
Next time you're in England, try it. I recommend it.
Yeah, I will. And then G, we have bacon, which yeah, in American breakfast, it's pretty common. Yeah, bacon and eggs and
Yeah, also in
toast.
the UK. And also very common in the UK, a bacon sandwich.
Which would be
That's
like what, toast with bacon?
it's one of the great divides in Britain. Do you prefer fresh bread or toasted bread for your bacon sandwich?
Ah,
And some people will have a kind of very common as well. In fact, probably more common is to have it on a bread roll. So a kind of like a could be like a Kaiser roll or a soft roll, something like that. Um, and in the UK, it's one of the great divides. Yeah, like I say, is like, do you want it toasted or not toasted? And then the other divide, the other big divide in Britain is ketchup or brown sauce as the kind of garnish with it.
what's the brown sauce?
Brown sauce is it's a kind of sweet and sour, tangy, mildly spicy condiment.
Ah,
Its recipe is, in fact, it's a secret. I think what the recipe is, but it's one of those very British things. And it's if you just like Google HP brown
yeah.
sauce.
Ah, the HP one. Okay, I've definitely seen that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of those things that's a British thing. And it may also, if I think about it, maybe in some other parts of the former British Empire, like Canada and Australia, I think it's quite common, but definitely in the United Kingdom itself. And a bacon sandwich is very often, that's the first thing I'll have when I go home.
Cool. All right. Then here we have another type of egg. This, you can just call this a fried egg.
Yeah.
In the US, at least, some people might refer to this also as sunny side up, which can be a bit strange if you see that on the menu.
Same
Sunny
in the
up.
UK. We say
You would
that
say
too.
that as well, yeah, sunny side up. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the sun
Yeah.
is facing up, right? So the
Yeah.
round, the yolk is up.
And
And
if
then, of
you, and the,
course, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead, Liam.
no, sorry, all I was going to say was you can have it sunny side up or over easy, which is
Over
when the
easy,
egg,
yeah.
that's when the egg is cooked on both sides, usually though only temporarily. So very, like Thiago says, in America, you can't just order eggs, you've got to answer a couple of supplementary questions that are
Yes.
very important.
Yeah, I had an Italian friend who complained about this to me. He was traveling in America. He didn't really speak English that well, and he thought it was so difficult to order anything than like what he would say the normal way, even coffee. You can't just go to a cafe and ask for a coffee.
No,
That's just not a thing. You have to really
no,
specify what kind, and then there's the type of coffee, and there's the kind of milk that you want. Would you like cream and sugar with that? Would you like it to
yeah.
go? Do you want, whipped cream
What
on top?
type of milk do you want?
Exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
and if you don't know what's like skim milk, 2%, I mean, it's just
Tough.
really difficult.
Tiago, even for me as a British person, I remember the first time I heard somebody refer to half and half.
Yeah,
I didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue what that
sure,
was.
sure.
But guys, so yeah, if you think Tiago and I are being a bit kind of we're going into the nitty gritty detail of this language, it's only because of situations like Tiago's friend. We want you guys to be prepared for these, the basic vocab, absolutely, but these little extra things that can, confuse people and make them feel embarrassed that they don't understand.
Hmm.
It's, we're not just, we're telling you this for a reason.
Exactly. And then the last one we have here, guys, is waffles.
Yes.
Yeah, I think these are also this expression is pretty common in many places. So
Are
yeah,
you a waffle fan, Tiago? Where do you stand on them?
yeah, I do like waffles. Not like a huge. I don't go crazy for waffles, but they're pretty nice. I actually kind of like the frozen waffles that you put on a toaster quite a lot. The Eggos.
Oh, those Eggos.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like them.
I don't think I've ever had an Eggo, but I can imagine I would like them.
Yeah,
Made famous by Stranger Things, by Eleven in Stranger Things, of
yeah,
course. And
exactly. Yeah,
she lives off Eggos, doesn't she?
exactly. And those are
There's
really nice.
also there's also in the UK and Tiago, I don't know if you guys have these, but we have actually a savory waffle, which is a potato waffle.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically the same shape as a waffle, but it's like the interior of it is potato, and the outside is kind of like fried. It's like crispy.
Ooh, I feel like that would be even
Uh,
better.
yeah, I mean,
Sounds
again,
really
because
nice.
I don't have much of a sweet tooth. I prefer those.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be really good. Yeah. Also because waffles, even the regular waffles, they're not necessarily sweet, right? You can make the batter sweet if you want to, but it's
Sure.
more of like the things that you put on top of it that would
Yeah,
really.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's more of a kind of canvas that you can then paint with whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, I don't see waffles in Italy. Not a big thing
No.
here.
No, I mean they're
Not like
huge, of
say
course, in Belgium. Of course, that's where they originated, I believe.
I think so.
Huge
Yeah,
there.
Belgium or Holland. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but again, it's one of those things where if I'm in Belgium, I'll always have them.
Yeah. They are really good.
They are, and they're quite luxurious as well with all the berries and the syrup and
All the
stuff.
toppings, the different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this, I
Okay,
guess, is a little
guys.
bit easier. We do have
Yes.
some. So, a question that you might be asked at a bar is, "What would you like to drink?" And here we have, orange juice, coffee, tea, cappuccino, hot chocolate, and milk. And so we're just gonna go through this. So, this of course would be milk, though,
Hmm.
as Liam was saying, we do have lots of different kinds of milk,
Yes.
especially these days, also with the plant based milk. I mean, the options are endless. So it's quite difficult to order just milk. See, again, I feel like in Italy, it's just milk. And sure, there are different types of milk as well, but maybe people don't care as much, or it's just like a standard kind. Um, so let's see some different types of milk. So you have skim milk,
Hmm.
which is a little bit lighter
Yeah.
than regular milk, like whole. Is it whole milk?
Yeah. Same in the UK. Yeah. You've got skimmed, and we've also got Tiago. You've got semi-skimmed as well.
Yeah, yeah, and then there are like the numbers as well, like 1%, 2%.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I can't tell you exactly, what. Yeah, but yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's say semi-skimmed.
Yeah, I think those are the
Um,
most in the UK. Semi-skimmed means 2% fat, and the only reason I know that is because that's the milk we had in my house growing up.
exactly.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, soy milk. I mean, in Britain now, when I go to the UK, and if my girlfriend comes with me as a vegan, she loves it because now in Britain, if you go to a cafe and you ask for a cappuccino or a macchiato, it's like, would you like almond milk, oat milk, rice milk, soy milk, pea milk, and they don't even offer you real milk anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's like kind of like the standard, right? Yeah, because I mean, so many people also they do have an intolerance to lactose, right? So
Absolutely.
um, yeah, I notice it's becoming more and more common in Italy as well. I noticed for several years you don't have as much of a variety, but soy milk is something you can find everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our supermarket next to us, we're lucky. We've got a good selection of. You can get coconut, rice, soy, hazelnut, oats. Really
Yeah.
good selection, I have to say.
You mentioned pea milk. That's one type I've never had.
I haven't had that either, but it exists.
Yeah,
That's
it
another one.
sounds like an interesting one. I would never think of pea as a cool.
No, me neither. But it's a good source of. I don't quite. It's one of those ones again where like a pea is technically a type of bean, which means that it's got a lot of protein. I don't quite get the science behind it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Then we have, of course, guys, here we have juice. Specifically, it's orange juice. This, all of you would know, this is, of course, a cappuccino.
Yes.
This would be tea, hot chocolate, which might come with whipped cream, which is what you see on top here,
Mm-hmm.
and coffee. Coffee,
And a coffee.
or I would call that an espresso. It's a little one, so like in Italian, an espresso. Because
Yeah.
again,
See
if you
that
try
that.
to order coffee,
Yeah.
they will probably ask what you want, and if they don't ask, they will assume it's more of an americano, so kind of like a cup of coffee, like
Yeah, the
watery.
long coffee.
Yeah.
In fact, Thiago, the other day I was watching a TV program where an American girl is in Berlin and she's trying to order just a plain coffee, and the guy's like macchiato, cappuccino, espresso, and then this guy next to her who understands what's happening says americano, and
Was this
she's
unorthodox?
like, oh yeah, you watched it
Oh
too.
my gosh, such a good
Oh,
miniseries.
I'm so
That
glad you've
was
watched it. Oh,
amazing. Yeah.
we'll have to talk about that after. I loved it.
Yeah. It
But
was really, really good.
I liked that scene where he says Americano and she's like, "How did you know?" And he's like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm ordering. I'm helping you
She
with
just
your
said, like,
coffee."
wait, me? You're talking about me?
Oh, I'm so glad
Exactly.
that someone else has seen it. I loved it.
Oh,
Great
it's
look.
brilliant. Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Really nicely done. Like the acting, I mean, everything, the scenes, the storyline. That was incredible.
Absolutely.
Really,
Just
really
on
interesting.
the coffee thing, just before we finish, Tiago. So in kind of English speaking culture, yeah, I think when you order a coffee, it can depend. Most places would just give you you know, a black coffee, I think. But at the same time, you could find kind of cool hipster bars that say, oh, well, you know, we don't just serve coffee here. We do this, this, and this. I think it depends on the type of restaurant, cafe you're in, right?
Yes. But you will find that if you try to have any kind of fancy, elegant coffee outside of Italy, at least, it is very slow. It will take a really long time for you to get your coffee. This is
And
something I've gotten so used here to just order a cappuccino and it's ready in a minute. It's so quick.
right, yeah,
But you
totally
try to
true.
order a cappuccino. I mean, you might get something more elaborate with like a face on it, but
Yeah.
it's a very slow process in other countries, I feel like.
I think so. And listen, we have to be honest, guys. It probably will not be as good as here.
It will not,
I
yes.
have to say, coffee in Italy, it's like Guinness in Ireland. It's just better.
Yeah, it really is. So,
All right,
guys,
guys.
we have reached the end of our webinar. So, we hope that this was interesting. Maybe you're watching this later, so there wasn't as much interaction today. We didn't have anyone in the comments. So, we hope that our input, the information that we gave you, even the really specific ones, will be helpful for when you're traveling. Because although just ordering breakfast should be an easy thing. As you can see here, there are lots of different options. So it's good to be prepared, and so you can understand the menu and the questions better when they ask you.
Absolutely. And guys, as well, Thiago and I did use quite a lot of like vocab and expressions here, but they're all in the comments section. So you should be able to see those as well if you're watching this again later. We've given you some good expressions, and like Thiago said, some of those little extra questions, how to answer them when people ask you. All right, guys, take it easy, be safe, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.